$9 billion investment from Google, the first ever MUSC venture fund, and hundreds of acres of downtown real estate in Charleston being completely redeveloped. There are 42 people who move to Charleston every single day, and there are 10 major projects happening right now that are gonna massively speed this up. Look, I've been selling real estate in Charleston for the last 20 years. And right now, this is the biggest explosive growth that we've seen in modern history. I'm gonna break down these top 10 projects that are happening right now on the cutting edge in 2026, and you're gonna see exactly where the smart money is moving right now. Let's get into it. Project number 1, Google's $9 billion AI and cloud infrastructure investment. Imagine Charleston turning into the East Coast's AI infrastructure hub. That's what $9 billion from Google really means. Announced just in October of 2025, and it focuses on Berkeley and Dorchester counties from 2026 through 2027. That $9 billion covers an expansion of Google's existing data center campus in Berkeley County, plus 2 brand new data center campuses in Dorchester County. Groundbreaking already happened in 2024, and construction is happening right now. These 3 facilities will connect to the Fermina and Nuvum undersea internet cables come ashore in Myrtle Beach. That means fast connections with very low delay to the rest of the world. Charleston becomes a major part of America's AI infrastructure. The economic impact of this is huge. About 200 full-time jobs come directly from Google, plus more than 1,200 long-term construction jobs. In 2024 alone, Google's existing investments created $6.4 billion in economic activity for South Carolina. And when we talk about MUSC's venture fund in a few minutes, you'll see how Google being here is already pulling in biotech investment that wasn't even possible just 2 years ago, so stick around. Now, Google also set up workforce training partnerships with Electrical Training Alliance. That's helping train more than 160 apprentices for tech and energy jobs right here in Charleston. For Charleston's real estate, Google's presence sends a clear message. Charleston is becoming the next Silicon Harbor. Big tech companies usually follow Google into new markets. That means higher paying jobs, more demand for housing, and rising home values in Berkeley and Dorchester counties. And this really focuses across the entire Charleston area. And speaking of companies following Google's lead, project number 2, Alita Health AI-powered healthcare operations. Google's investment scored its first big win before most people even heard about the $9 billion. Alita Health is an AI-focused healthcare tech company that set up shop in Charleston in September of 2025. They leased office space at the Harbor Entrepreneur Center at 11 Ewall Street in Mount Pleasant. Alita built an AI agent that handles day-to-day admin work in senior care, skilled nursing, assisted living, and home health. The platform manager admissions, intake paperwork, hiring, family questions, appointment scheduling, and more. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This company created 17 new jobs. Alita's CEO, Matt Rosa, said Charleston County's year-round sunshine, growing tech scene, and rare mix of ambition and Southern hospitality are the reasons that they chose Charleston. And that's no surprise. This is the first major AI healthcare startup to open operations here after Google's big announcement. And the timing says a lot. But quick pause here. If you're thinking about moving to Charleston and trying to figure out which neighborhoods will benefit most from these big projects, I help relocating families and investors navigate shifts like this every single day. My contact information is in the description below, so do not hesitate to reach out for help. All right, now let me show you why these healthcare ecosystems matter so much. Project number 3, MUSC's first venture fund, $30 million for life sciences and innovation. In 200 years of operation, MUSC never launched a venture capital fund until they did just in September 2025. It's called 1824 Health Ventures Fund 1, and it is a $20 million venture fund focused only on startups connected to MUSC. When you add a separate $10 million South Carolina Health Innovation Fund for in-state companies, MUSC is committing a total of $30 million to healthcare innovation here in Charleston. This fund helps fix what people call the valley of death. That's the stage where strong research ideas die because they can't get to the funding that they need to turn into real products. MUSC's first investment went to Lykogene Therapeutics, a biotech startup tied to MUSC that's working on treatments for advanced stage cancer. The funding helps move their main drug candidates into preclinical development. Charleston already ranks 4th in the country for patents per person. Now adding a $30 million venture fund led by Bob Crutchfield, who has more than 30 years of global business and venture experience, you start to see a real life sciences ecosystem taking shape here in Charleston. And stick around, because that waterfront redevelopment we're going to talk about matters in this space as well. Now, Union Pier will become home to the College of Charleston's new business school because enrollment is up 40%. A lot of that growth is coming from students who want to be close to this expanding tech and healthcare scene. This fund creates higher paying STEM jobs and pulls outside investments into South Carolina's life sciences industry. That leads to more biotech startups, more research roles, and more pharmaceutical companies paying attention to Charleston. These are highly educated, high-income professionals who need housing in Mount Pleasant, downtown, Charleston, Daniel Island, and West Ashley. Here's the thing, all these high-income professionals also need places to work, and that brings us to the single most important real estate project in Charleston's modern history. Project number 4, Union Pier redevelopment, Charleston's once-in-a-generation waterfront opportunity. Charleston almost never gets new downtown land. How could it? But Union Pier adds about 65 to 70 acres to downtown. Ben Navarro, through BMUC Capital, bought the site in spring of 2024. The city wrapped up a full planning process in April of 2025 using a community-led approach. Some of the biggest pieces stand out right away. Navarro is donating the historic Carroll Building at North Market and East Bay Streets to the College of Charleston for a new business school. Business enrollment is already up 40%, and the goal is to have the school operating by the end of this decade. The plan calls for a mixed-use district with housing, shops, restaurants, public parks. The design also puts a big focus on flood protection and stormwater control. Vertical development is still in the early planning stages. The full build-out will take decades, but the business school and the first mixed-use phases will start taking shape by the end of 2030. No other major U.S. city has added this much new waterfront land to its downtown in a generation. Downtown Charleston's footprint grows. That will push property values nearby in downtown, Mount Pleasant, and Daniel Island. I've been selling real estate here in Charleston for more than 20 years, and Union Pier is the most important redevelopment project Charleston has seen in that entire time. Now, you might be wondering what's actually making all this downtown growth possible. Let me show you the infrastructure holding it all together. Project number 5. Port of Charleston expansion. While everyone's watching the flashy tech headlines, the Port of Charleston is building infrastructure that's basically locked in for the next 50 years. This is a multi-phase, multi-billion-dollar expansion already underway and running through the late 2020s. The goal is simple: keep Charleston solidly in the top 10 U.S. container ports for decades to come. It's built to handle about 1 million rail lifts per year. There's also a dedicated 1-mile drayage. And if you live in Charleston, of course you're worried about traffic. But that's what makes this project so cool. There's also a dedicated 1-mile drayage road that keeps intermodal traffic off of Interstate 26. Terminal expansion phase 2 adds 1,600-foot wharf extension and 5 more ship-to-shore cranes. Test piles are already in, and construction is moving forward on that. Harbor deepening is another major piece. Charleston now has a 52-foot deep harbor, the deepest in the entire East Coast. That lets mega vessels dock faster and more efficiently. New shipping services are coming online too. MSCs, Albatross, and Dragon services now run weekly. Each carries about 15,000 TEUs and connects Charleston to Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, and to Asia. The Navy base intermodal facility is more than 80% complete, with around 35,000 feet of processing tracks. The state funded it with $400 million. And here's the key point: ports don't move. Once this expansion is built, it anchors the region into global trade for decades. That keeps demand steady for logistics jobs, distribution warehouses, and skilled manufacturing. This isn't the kind of growth that grabs headlines like the $9 billion Google investment, but it is the kind that makes the city resilient. When the next recession hits, the port will keep running, the jobs will stay, and the housing demand won't vanish. And that leads us straight into one of the wildest real estate shifts I've seen in Charleston in years. Project number 6, Magnolia Landing. Charleston's boxed in by water, by marsh, and by historic district. So how do you add 4,000 new homes close to downtown without endless sprawl? Well, you do that by cleaning up a Superfund site. Magnolia Landing is a 192-acre mixed-use project along the Ashley River. It sits on former industrial land that was contaminated. Now the cleanup is all done. Highland Resources out of Houston is the developer. Total investment is about $2 billion, and the timeline runs through 2040. And the first residents will be moving in by 2027, just a year from now. Charleston has a land problem and a traffic problem. This area sits so close to downtown, traffic will not be an issue for the Magnolia development. It's going to have water on 3 sides, historic preservation downtown, marshlands and wetlands everywhere. Magnolia Landing unlocks the largest supply of new land in the region without pushing development further and further away from town. Phase 1 runs from 2027 to 2028 and includes 600 rental homes, including affordable units. There are 158 luxury townhomes, a 125-room boutique hotel, around 100,000 square feet of Class A office space, about 75,000 feet of ground-level retail, restaurants, and commercial space. The project also adds a marina with a day dock, waterfront restaurants, a boat club, and monthly slips. There are waterfront trails and boardwalks, so it's built as a real neighborhood, not just a collection of buildings. A full build-out, Magnolia Landing will have about 4,000 homes. Buildings are going to range from 3 to 9 stories. There will be 25 acres of public parks, with 13 acres in Phase 1. There will also be a 1.5-mile riverfront promenade, the longest in Charleston, and 49 acres preserved as marshlands. This project will reshape the way that people see the neck of Charleston long term. It turns it into a place that people will choose, not just an industrial edge of the city. Median home prices in the neck right now are in the mid 400s, and they will rise quite a bit once Magnolia Landing is done. Magnolia Landing likely pushes the numbers much higher, especially in nearby areas like West Ashley and Park Circle and high up downtown. But that's not the only area that's getting a reset. Let me show you what's happening across the Cooper River. This brings us to project number 7, Battery Park, North Charleston's urban rebranding. North Charleston never really had a downtown, well, maybe Park Circle, but Battery Park is building one from scratch on about 50 to 70 acres of the old naval base. Battery Park is a major redevelopment of the former Charleston Naval Complex. The goal is to create North Charleston's first true central business district and a waterfront area people actually want to spend their time in. The master developer team was finalized in December 2023. It includes Jamestown, Weaver Capital Partners, and Wecco Development. The site covers roughly 50 to 70 acres. Total investment is around $1 billion, with a phased build-out plan over the next 25 years. Here's what's planned. More than 1,400 homes, with 17% set aside as workforce housing. About 23 acres of public space within the site. Roughly 222,000 square feet of shops and restaurants. About 450,000 square feet of office space. There's also 1601 Pavilion, designed as a community gathering place with a market hall, an event space, and it's targeting completion by the end of 2026. Pier Alpha adds waterfront recreation, boat docking, and dining right on the water. The economic impact is big, around 17,000 construction jobs. About 11,000 permanent jobs, roughly $57 million a year in tax revenue. When you combine Battery Park with the Navy Yard Charleston, you're looking at about 135 acres of coordinated redevelopment. That translates to roughly 3,000 to 4,500 new homes, including more than 2,600 units at Navy Yard alone, plus about 3.5 million square feet of combined commercial and residential space. This is how North Charleston gets completely rebranded. It attracts residents of businesses priced out of downtown and Mount Pleasant. If you're looking at North Charleston real estate, Battery Park is why you should be paying attention. The real upside isn't luxury pricing. It's the long-term shift in how people see North Charleston. Now, here's where it gets strategic. We're adding new jobs and we're adding new neighborhoods. This is going to add traffic. So how are we going to move people to all of these new home sites? Project number 8, Lowcountry Rapid Transit, mass transit as market catalyst. South Carolina is getting its first real mass transit system, and it runs straight through the same areas where Google, Battery Park, and Boeing are creating thousands of jobs. This is a 21.3-mile bus rapid transit line connecting downtown Charleston, North Charleston, and Ladson. The price tag is about $625 million. Construction is set to start very soon, with opening expected between 2028 and 2029, so it is not that far away. The route starts near the edge of Charleston Peninsula, then moves inland through North Charleston and keeps going out to the Ladson Fairgrounds at Exchange Park. It links Charleston's medical district with inland job centers where a lot of people already work. The infrastructure plan is pretty big. that includes 20 stations, dedicated bus lanes running in the middle of the road, traffic signals that give buses priority, multi-use paths, better sidewalks, and park and ride lots. The service details are straightforward. Electric or alternative fuel buses. Each bus can carry about 40 to 85 riders. Every bus has bike racks. The fare is $2 per ride. Expected ridership is around 3 million riders per year. Right now, the project is in final design. It was about 60% complete as of December of 2024. Construction will start in 2027, and the build should take only 2 to 3 years. Opening again is projected for 28 and 29. Transit usually doesn't make home prices jump overnight, but it does change the map long term because it changes where people can live and still get to work without being stuck in traffic. Over time, this line can push growth towards neighborhoods near the route, especially near the 20 service stations. That is where prices will start to explode. Imagine walking out your front door to a service station, getting on the line, and getting downtown without any traffic headaches. Since they become much more easy to reach, this area is going to see real estate boom. Projects like this will shape real estate in Charleston over the next decades. That stretch from downtown Charleston through North Charleston to Ladson is likely to slow value shifts as more people realize they don't have to sit in I-26 traffic for about an hour each way. And speaking of job centers along that corridor, there's one company that's about to give 1,000 reasons why transit line really matters. Project number 9. Boeing is betting more than $1 billion on Charleston, making 10 Dreamliners every month. That can mean about 1,000 new households looking for homes in the next few years here in Charleston. Groundbreaking happened on November 6th of 2025. Total investment is over $1 billion, and the goal is to finish in early 2027, so super soon. So what are they actually building? More than 1.2 million square feet of new space. There's a new final assembly building that's the same size as the current one. There's a new parts prep facility. There's a vertical fin paint facility. They're expanding the flight line stalls, and they're expanding the interiors responsibility center too. The production goals are big. Boeing's current 787 Dreamliner production is ramping up, and the target is 10 planes per month by 2026. The expanded operations are expected to be fully running in early 2027. When it comes to jobs, the announcement includes more than 1,000 new positions. This matters because it strengthens Charleston's industrial base. Aerospace manufacturing usually sticks around, and it usually pays really well. That brings job stability that a lot of other industries just don't have. Boeing already employs about 8,200 people as of late 2025. If you add another 1,000 more jobs, it's basically 1,000 more households needing housing. These are solid manufacturing jobs with benefits, and Boeing's continued investment shows they believe in Charleston's long-term future, and they should. Charleston's awesome. Now here's one more piece to this puzzle. Because all these Boeing workers and their families are going to need healthcare, that takes us to our final project. Project 10. Roper St. Francis Hospital Healthcare Anchor Investment. Healthcare employees don't usually move. So when Roper St. Francis commits $1.2 billion to North Charleston, that is a long-term anchor for the next 30 plus years. The site is 2401 Mall Drive in North Charleston on 27 acres. The campus will be about 1.5 million square feet. It includes a 24-hour emergency department focused on trauma and critical care, plus multiple modern operating rooms with hybrid surgical suites. There's also an outpatient medical office building, along with a green belt that includes wayfinding and wellness features. The economic impact is big, about 3,600 construction jobs over a 4-year build. Once completed, the annual regional economic impact is projected to be $2.5 billion. There's also a $100 million fundraising campaign running through 2030. Hospitals are sticky employers. They don't pack up and leave, and they keep hiring year after year. This facility creates steady demand for healthcare workers, support staff, and workforce housing in North Charleston. If you're watching North Charleston real estate, especially neighborhoods near 2401 Mall Drive, Roper St. Francis is a major long-term anchor. It supports property values and rental demand. Healthcare jobs also tend to hold up during recessions. Okay, we have covered all 10 projects. These 10 projects aren't fighting each other. They are stacking on top of each other. And that's why this decade feels different from anything Charleston has seen ever before. The infrastructure gets built first. Then the jobs show up. Then the housing demand catches up. And by the time most people are noticing what's happening, the best appreciation window has already gone and went. If you're trying to figure out which neighborhoods put you ahead of this growth curve before prices fully reflect all these projects in completion, shoot me an email. sales@mattoneilteam.com. And if you're wondering if it's actually the right time to buy with today's inventory and interest rates, check out the video I linked where I break down the exact market shift we just saw in the last 90 days. Hey, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next video.